My name is Magreth Nunuhe with the Southern Times. Today we have a very special guest in our audience. He is Mr. Theo Mujoro, the Chief Electoral Officer of the Electoral Commission of Namibia. Mr. Mujoro, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Maggie.
Namibia is preparing for the 2019 national elections, and within this frame, we would like to speak to Mr. Mujoro regarding the preparations for the elections. Mr. Mujoro, how are the preparations going?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. As you rightly said, we are preparing now to conduct the Presidential and National Assembly elections 2019. You would recall that we had similar elections about 5 years ago, back in 2014. And subsequent to that, after those elections, we also had the regional councils and local authority elections. So this year is Presidential National Assembly, and then obviously next year, 2020, we'll be doing regional councils and local authority elections. In terms of preparations, I think the manner we approach our elections, it's basically a concept called the electoral cycle approach to elections. What that means basically is that we don't approach elections as a once-off event, but it's more a continuous cycle of activities. What that means basically is that the moment you complete a particular set of elections, you basically start with preparations for the next elections. So the stage where we are now is what is called the pre-electoral phase, where you focus on things like voters registration, civic and voter education, things around the legal framework for those particular elections, your logistics, in terms of election materials, infrastructure, all of those things. Right now, we are in that particular phase. You may have noticed from the media that a few days ago we have advertised widely in newspapers. We need to be recruiting persons to be able to perform certain roles and functions as part of the processes that we are anticipating. People at the level of regional coordinators, returning officers, registration officials. We would also be recruiting people in areas of IT, areas of HR, areas of finance, to be able to beef up capacity here at the head office to ensure that we position ourselves correctly for all these processes that we will be carrying out. Importantly, we are looking at supplementary registration of voters, which we expect to take place somewhere around July 2019. I think it's a little bit early days to be able to share concrete information in terms of the time period, but we are looking at somewhere around July. It is important that we ensure that all eligible Namibians are registered for the forthcoming elections. The last major national registration exercise that we had was prior to the local and regional council elections back in 2015. So a number of years have passed. So during the intervening period, obviously, you would have a significant number of persons who may have 10, 18 years. You have also situations where people may have lost their voters' cards. You would also have people who have changed their residential addresses. Therefore, these people need to present themselves for registration so that they're issued with new voters' cards so that they're able to participate in the election process. So we are on an even keel, really, in terms of our preparations. We will be increasing our visibility in the media, social media. We will be all over the show. I think it's important that as an election management body, that we really set the agenda for the coming elections, that we set the tone so that people understand the framework within which the coming elections will be conducted. So preparation-wise, obviously, there are a number of challenges that we would be anticipating in the area of transport, for example. Our experience in the past is that the ECN may not be able to get the number and types of vehicles that we would require for these processes from within government. So we need to innovate around this particular challenge so that we look at other options and alternatives to ensure that at the end of the day we have the numbers of vehicles that we require throughout the country to be able to run these processes. So, but generally, I think we are I'm satisfied personally in terms of what we are looking at. I think we have the institutional memory, and we have built a critical mass of people that we can rely on to be able to run the forthcoming election. So I think we are sitting pretty in terms of preparations, at least at this point.
Yeah. And in terms of the date, have you set a date yet when the elections actually do take place?
Yes, what will be happening over the next few weeks and months, we will be engaging critical stakeholders, obviously political parties, where the commission would present some ideas around the date. As I indicated earlier, we are looking at July in terms of supplementary registration. And then we know that the elections, in terms of the actual polling day, we can confidently state that elections will take place in the last week of November. But it's important that the commission engages stakeholders, obviously the head of state, because in terms of the law, the head of state actually proclaims the actual date of polling. The commission would be sitting and would be engaging with political parties to suggest a few ideas about the dates for these processes. And once that is cleared, the commission would then propose a date for the head of state to then officially gazette. But as I said earlier, this is only still January. A lot of things must be factored into the equation. We need to be looking at quite a number of issues in terms of scheduling so that we ensure that we do the right thing. And we actually identify the correct days during which some of these activities will be carried out.